to Morning Movie News. The first of the 3 stories being covered on today's episode is one that you suggested. As I said, this is going to be the most interactive show here on Beyond the Trailer, and a number of you asked me in the comments yesterday for my thoughts on Only God Forgives being booed at the Cannes Film Festival. Quick backstory, this is the Nicolas Winding Refn, Ryan Gosling film. It's their follow-up to Drive. It's about street fighting in Thailand, Bangkok, Thailand, and it kind of involves the criminal underworld of that city. Ryan Gosling stars in it, Kristen Scott Thomas, and then I believe a famous Taiwanese actor also is in the film. And what the critics are having a problem with is that Taiwanese actor who plays a criminal underlord, he has a torture sequence in the film where he's interrogating somebody and the camera does not pan away. The vibe I'm kind of getting from what people are saying is it's almost Saw hostile level violence, like those kinds of films. I'm also hearing that the film is misogynistic, and basically overall the impression seems to be that it's shocking and offensive for the sake of being shocking and offensive. And critics felt they didn't really get any artistic return for that, or artistic motivation, or meaning, and so they kind of felt violated and cheated. They asked Nicolas Winding Refn what he thought about his own film being booed, and he said that good art is divisive, and so he's not upset about it at all. Carry on. And also, I have to tell you, this is not unusual at the Cannes Film Festival for films to get booed. It's not a good sign, but it does happen, and they're very vocal over there. My thoughts on it are, I would be disappointed if this was true. I mean, obviously this is something that we're going to have to hear more about. I'm probably going to want to judge for myself, but I always find it disappointing when filmmakers, don't have, it's always important. The story is the most important. Motivation is the most important. Not, trying to shock people. I personally agree that's kind of the worst kind of art that doesn't come from someplace, but it's only salacious. And also, when I reviewed the trailer for Only God Forgives, I said that I felt Nicolas Winding Refn and Ryan Gosling looks like they didn't learn their lessons from Drive because they wanted that film to be commercially successful. I had interviewed Ryan Gosling about The Place Beyond the Pines, and he said they wanted the character from Drive to be like their own version of a superhero and have a franchise. And of course, the film wasn't financially successful enough or commercially, in the mainstream media to warrant continuing the story. So they've come to play. So, but they're refusing to play by the rules, or at least, acknowledge them. So that's unfortunate. I like the talent involved here, and it would be a shame if they kind of shot themselves in the foot. But that said, again, we'll have to see. Also, I would like to add that I'm noticing a darker streak in fandom these days. It's small, but very vocal, and I feel that they could really spark to a movie like this. So I agree with Winding Refn. At least that it's not over yet, and he could have a really big cult reaction to this, which saves the film. And perhaps that's why he felt with Drive, maybe he felt he didn't go far enough in the artistic direction, and so he didn't really win over, a cult fan base, and he didn't really win over the mainstream. So I guess he decided to go more cult. We'll see. The second story of the day is an interesting one. As you might have heard, Sam Mendes had initially said, I don't want to direct the next Bond, I want to go back to theater, it was fun, thanks. And then all of a sudden, Christopher Nolan his name came up, and everyone got very excited that maybe he'd be directing the next Bond, even though it seems that his schedule is too busy because he's doing Interstellar, the film that Steven Spielberg was supposed to direct from the script by his Christopher Nolan's brother Jonathan, but Spielberg dropped out, so Christopher Nolan came back in, and they cast Matthew McConaughey, and that's really moving forward, and it's supposed to be a very exciting science fiction film. So when would he direct Bond? Who knows? But anyway. As that news started to solidify yesterday, Sam Mendes comes back and goes, you know what, maybe I will direct the next Bond. So he's back in. Personally, if I had to choose, I would go with Mendes. I feel Nolan's too busy. And also Nolan, you can't give him every franchise. I think, he did a fantastic job. I liked everything, and particularly The Dark Knight. As I said, The Dark Knight is one of my top 3 films of all time. I would like to see him maybe really, double down on the DC universe or continue to make his own really interesting films. I think that it would be a mistake for Hollywood to be like, let's just give everything to Nolan, even though everybody is copying him from the trailers, from their score choices, to even Sam Mendes copied him significantly for Skyfall. But he did a great Christopher Nolan knockoff, and I think he can do it again, and I like seeing other filmmakers rise to that level, so I say Mendes should come back, as long as he's not going to drop out. I mean, maybe he learned his lesson. I'd like to see him come back. That's my choice. Mendes over Nolan. The final story of the three stories for this episode is that they're prepping a Hillary Rodham Clinton movie called Rodham. I think that's going to be very interesting. The actresses up for the lead so far are Scarlet Johansson, Reese Witherspoon, Jessica Chastain, and Amanda Seyfried. I feel everyone but Jessica Chastain is pretty well cast there. I think Jessica Chastain just is too soft. She doesn't have the necessary edge to play Hillary Rodham Clinton. I think Reese Witherspoon probably would do the best job out of the group, the most realistic, but I think in a negative way. I think if I were Hillary Rodham Clinton, I wouldn't want Reese Witherspoon playing me, especially coming off of the whole arrest problem in Atlanta. But if Scarlett Johansson played her, I think it would make for a likable Hillary Rodham Clinton on screen, and it would be a fantastic coup for Johansson as an actress. I think it would be a great role. If you see young photos of Hillary Rodham Clinton, she looks actually somewhat close to Scarlett Johansson. So I think you could have a really great role there that benefits both women. I think that they're prepping this movie because obviously of Hillary Rodham Clinton's upcoming presidential run. She's going to run again. We'll see if she makes it past the primaries. But if she does, wouldn't it be nice for Hollywood to have a biopic already? I don't know how nice it would be for Hillary Rodham Clinton, and I hope it's not a fluff piece, though, because as we all know, Hollywood's very pro-democratic. I'm sure they're in favor of Hillary Rodham Clinton, but nobody wants to see a fluff piece. That would also be, I think, harmful to her campaign. Overall, I'm sure she probably wishes this movie didn't exist and wasn't being readied, but hopefully she'll get Scarlett Johansson to play her. Now, as I said, every episode I'll answer some questions from the comments from yesterday's episode, and I have 3 that I've picked. The first was a question about Star Wars and whether or not J.J. Abrams would shoot the film digitally or on film, and if he would shoot it in 3D. Because as we know, for Star Trek Into Darkness, he was very against 3D. He shot it in 2D, and he had to do a post-conversion because the studio was like, nice try. But a number of you were very happy with the results, so I guess post-conversion has come a long way. I think for Star Wars, though, Star Wars has always been a technologically advanced franchise. I mean, it started LucasArts. It started Industrial Light and Magic. So I feel that Star Wars should be as advanced as possible. Also, there's so many special effects in the film, it just seems silly to me not to go digital, because you have to just add everything digitally almost anyway. So it's like partially an animated film. Also, I think they should shoot in 3D. I mean, why not go for the best result possible? He knows he's going to end up there, especially after Star Trek Into Darkness. I think J.J. Abrams is only kidding himself if he thinks he's not making a 3D movie at this point. And hopefully Disney and Kathleen Kennedy will, have a nice, strong, but respectful talk with J.J. Abrams about the technological necessities for the film. Also, Canon, for instance, there's the Canon camera. Digital cameras have gotten quite good that you don't have to sacrifice the filmic look of a film just because you're shooting digitally. The other 2 questions both pertain to the Lone Ranger, so there's kind of like a group answer here. The first was, do I think the Lone Ranger will be successful? I think it's really iffy at this point. I feel that they made a huge mistake with the color palette for the film. They went with a really bleached out look. If you look at the top grossing films of all time, they are very rich. Even Batman was, it had dark colors, but it was a very rich looking film. This kind of bleached out look, I feel, just isn't appealing to audiences overall. So that's a tough sell right there. I feel Disney should have stepped in and be like, Gore Verbinski, Rango won an Oscar. Some people liked it, but it was not a huge hit. You can't make live action Rango. And so that's a problem. Westerns are a tough sell. I think Johnny Depp is a tough sell these days. And I feel Armie Hammer is not going to, even though I like him as an actor, I feel from a business standpoint, he doesn't really bring in audiences. The other question, though, was, do I feel that Johnny Depp is hurting his career by continuously teaming with Helena Bonham Carter? And my answer is yes. I think that audiences are really at the end of their rope with Johnny Depp a little bit. And when they see Helena Bonham Carter standing next to him, they just let go. I was watching Mad Men last night, and they had a quote, a character quoted Laurence Olivier when he just kind of dismissively said, let the wig do the work. But I feel that while Laurence Olivier was probably in a bad mood when he said that, that's really what Helena Bonham Carter and Johnny Depp are doing almost at this point. And real quick, a point I want to make about Johnny Depp is that I felt that since the first Pirates film, he doesn't understand why that was so successful. I don't think he understands why Jack Sparrow, out of all the work he's done over the span of his very long career, why it was Jack Sparrow that clicked with audiences. I think he was playing around, trying to do something fun with the role, and I think he never expected audiences in the mainstream to grab onto it the way they have. And I think he doesn't quite understand that. I think he doesn't understand So I think that you're seeing when he acts is a misunderstanding of what's exactly audiences want from him, and also a fear of losing that support, because it's made him an iconic actor right up there with Robert Downey Jr. and hugely successful. We're talking tons of money on the line. So I think when you see Johnny Depp act in these movies, sometimes you can. It's not a precision performance, which is unfortunate. You're not in the skilled hands of an actor. I don't think he's in control. I think you're seeing someone kind of like acting out of fear, and it's unfortunate because I really do like Johnny Depp. But I'm not totally done with him, although I have to say, Helena Bonham Carter makes me maybe reconsider. But I'm going to see The Lone Ranger. It looks good to me, as I've said in my reviews, but I don't have a lot of faith in it being a successful film. So that's today's episode of Morning Movie News. Please leave your thoughts down below, as well as other stories you'd like to see covered tomorrow, and any questions you'd like answered. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll check out these other episodes. Bye.